All right, from his home in Missouri and my home in the Valley, it's the Hollywood Beatdown with UFC superstar Tyron Woodley, brought to you this week by KFC's Secret Recipe Fries. I got them right here. They're delicious. Tyron, you got yours?
I got them on deck, man. You know, it's only a couple times I'm willing to risk this diet for something so amazing. So I'm ready. I'm ready to roll.
All right, well, good. That segues right into our first segment. Let's do Fired Up. Actually, let's change the segment today. Let's not do Fired Up. Let's do Finally. Because finally, after 2 years in the making, we're going to see Tyron Woodley finally fight Colby Covington. And that relates to our sponsor today, because I don't know if you know this, KFC is finally bringing French fries to their menu. They've never had French fries in the history of KFC. They finally got them.
Finally, it has happened to me.
Yeah, man.
We can eat some fries.
Secret recipe and seasoning, all that good stuff. They're delicious. I know that you're compromising your fight diet to have a couple. We appreciate that. But I got to get.
If I can't eat a couple of bomb fries and literally win the fight, I wasn't going to win the fight anyway. So I'm happy to do so.
Okay, good. Well, let's talk about this, because it has really truly been 2 years in the making. Like, I remember I was at your fight in Dallas when you fought Darren Till, and that fight was supposed to be Colby Covington back then. And now here we are 2 years later, basically, and you're finally getting this fight that you've been wanting so badly for so long. You guys used to train at the same gym. And then you guys, would you use the word friends to describe yourselves, or not really?
Nah, I don't loosely use the word friends. If I'm not willing to step in front of a 18-wheeler for you, I'm not really your friend. And that goes for anybody, even if you have the same blood in your vein. But Colby Covington and I were supposed to fight almost exactly 2 years ago to the date, just because, you know, Darren Till stepped in there for the fight that was supposed to be him. And then I ended up fighting Usman. I was booked for two different opponents after that. So literally 4 opponents before. And it's not so much that I was waiting and this is the fight I wanted so bad. He literally from 2016 to 2018 utilized my name, what I'd done in the sport, to try to put himself in a position to try to make more money and get that fight purely based on that. So I think I just wanted to silence him. He already know what happened in the training room when we trained together. We were training partners. We were teammates in the American Top Team, but he's always just been a selfish little coward, man, and always been so much about himself. And you see how he ruined the relationships with American Top Team, relationships with myself, relationship with Jorge Masvidal, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But he just has went on this rant, and I've never seen someone try to position himself as a heel so badly and not even really be received as a heel. How do you fail at being the bad guy?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was going to talk to you about that, because, you know, usually when you go into a fight, there's a lot of talk, kind of part of the ramp up to a fight these days, a lot of talk. But you've been quiet. I feel like you've been focused. You've been in the gym. You mentioned Jorge Masvidal. I see you've been training with him. Yeah. How do you feel going into this fight, and what's different about this fight than the last couple fights you've had?
You know, I feel great going into this fight, and we got to go back 2 fights. That's when I lost the belt, and things started to go in different directions than what you guys are used to seeing. So the Usman fight, I just didn't really feel present. I was prepared. I was ready. I trained hard, and I trained, I guess I would say enough to beat Usman. None of these guys really gave me that motivation to go out there and run through a wall like a Carlos Condon or a Robbie Lawler or somebody who had the name and the status or the belt behind them that I was chasing. The Gilbert Burns fight, I was there. I was in training camp. I felt physically, mentally present there. But it was just a few things that happened within that fight. They just kind of got me off track, and I tried to get back on, and something else got me off track and to get back on. But these guys are excellent fighters. They executed the game plan. And if you really think about it, these guys probably looked up to me. They probably saw me as a champion. They probably wanted what I had. And they had that motivation to fight me that I had to fight the others. But in this Colby Covington fight, I really didn't have to change much. You know what I mean? Jorge Masvidal hit me up to come into training camp himself. He was a friend of Colby. Colby was his roommate. He pretty much put Colby underneath his wing. And Colby got to the point, and we all said this at American Top Team, you're not Jorge Masvidal. You didn't street fight. You didn't have 50 pro fights. You didn't go through the mud like he went. He thought just because of his affiliation and him being friends and hanging out with him that he adopted all this gangsterness, and all of a sudden he became game bred. So once he burned somebody who basically is the only one that gave him any type of credibility, you just got to look at a person like that and just see the desperation. Yeah. And You haven't heard him talk much either, because you know
Yeah.
what? He finally has to live up to all the crap we've been talking. He finally has to go out there and do what he quote unquote said he was going to do all these years. And that's why he's asked for such a ridiculous payday, because he recognized if you talk all that crap and you go in there and lose, you may have to walk away from this thing called MMA. And he
Yeah.
wanted to make enough money where he can be in position to do that. So now this fight is just taking place. And I'm surprised the UFC really haven't gotten behind a lot of the back and forth of a lot of the promotion of the fight, especially, his political standpoint, the social uprisings going on right now in our country and really the world in general, and so many different angles to promote this fight. The fact that we're ex teammates, ex associates, ex colleagues, his teammate, ex teammate Jorge Masvidal came out and trained, is really surprising to me that they haven't really promoted this fight, with all the bells and whistles like they would do any type of other dramatic situation, like a Connor throwing
Right.
a dolly through a bus or something like that. So for me, it's been refreshing, to be honest, because I just been locked in. I've been focused, and I haven't had to deal with all the BS that comes with it. So
What? Let me ask you, what's it like training with Jorge Masvidal? I mean, what does he bring to your camp that like takes it to another level?
Nothing. Jorge doesn't bring my camp to another level. He's just an equal to me. He's a training partner that I've trained with. A lot of people don't recognize I've trained with Jorge Masvidal for 5 or 6 years straight when I first
Right.
joined ATT. Before he was even at ATT, I was American Top 10 before him. And I was American Top 10 in 2005. I think he joined in 2007, 2008, something like that. So at that point in time, we were training partners in. This is not nothing new. It's only new to you guys because of the concept of him knocking out Ben Askren and
Sure.
him fighting against Colby Covington and him fighting for a world title in the same division, that's been in the same weight. He wasn't always in my weight, and I've always supported him. You've heard many, many, many times on our show alone, me give credit to him, me being excited and happy he's
Yeah.
finally making the pay-per-view, and me wanting to see him do well. I'll never root against him. You know what I mean? Even if it means that he ended up taking out Kumar Usman and he has a belt and we have to face each other, that's something that we just to grips with. This is a prize fighting. It's 25 minutes of our life, but we got to put ourselves in position to feed our families and create this legacy. So he brought the accountability. He brought he's overly invested in seeing me do well, not just because it's Kobe, but also he knew that just I had went through the same kind of toxic situations in my life, the same kind of things that can beseech you and distract you from being able to succeed. Now I'm free. Now I'm clear. You know what I mean? All those things are X out of my life, and I can breathe and I feel good. And I feel good to be back.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you go in there and you beat the dog snot out of Colby Covington. He comes over and tries to snake when he comes over and tries to shake your hand afterward. Do you shake his hand? Do you guys?
You know, it's funny you said that. Me and my coach had this exact conversation after training today. And I said, I want to knock him out to the point that when they're raising our hands and they're talking, they're still gathering him. And they're hopefully stretching him out, and they hopefully trying to get his legs to unstiffen and still trying to get the mouthpiece out of his mouth. Like, to be honest, I don't believe in that. Like, I'm not saying I'm like the Diaz brothers, but now I understand. It took a while for me to really understand them. And it was like, these guys, why they got to be, it's a sport. Like, I want to fight this guy because he's the best. I don't have anything against him. But it's sometimes you got to take yourself to that dark place where, why are we going to shake hands afterwards? I'm not going to call you. You're not coming to my kid's birthday party. I'm not going to help you train after this fight. No, I'm not going to shake his hand. I'm not going to shake his hand. I'm not going to shake his coach's hand, most likely, because I don't really have nothing to shake your hand. What are we going, oh, man, it was just all for the fight. No, this is for real for me. You know what I mean? You come after my legacy. You come after my name. And you literally, like if you look back, which I don't feel like doing, if somebody got the time of day, and I know some of you guys on this that's watching this show will, if you got time to thumb through his social media, go back to approximately 2017. You'll see 99.9, just like birth control, is me. And somebody that dedicated that much of their time and their platform to talk about me. You know what I mean? We ain't got nothing to talk about.
All right, moving on to Tyron's favorite segment, the one he named himself.
On the real, though.
On the real, though, Nick Diaz posted some video leading a lot of people to believe that he wants to make a UFC comeback. Dana White isn't 100% convinced yet, says he's been trying to talk to Nick Diaz for years about a comeback. Conor McGregor says line him up next to his brother. He'll take on both Diaz brothers, What's your take on the Nick Diaz situation? You think he's actually going to fight in the octagon again, or you think this is all just to grab headlines?
I mean, I don't care. If you want to fight, fight. Like, we don't need a big build up. We don't need a test weight cut. If you want to fight, fight. Sign a contract, get in the octagon. You know, there's been so much talk about if he's going to fight. Even his brother, you know, is he going to come back? And I think that they deserve the hype that they've gotten. Sorry, because when they were fighting years and years back, they weren't getting paid hardly anything. You know what I mean? Think about, you know, go back and pull up the public records on what Nate Diaz made the fight right before Conor McGregor. Right. It's kind of embarrassing compared to what he ended up making in that fight in the second fight. Right. So when you look at it, I kind of gotta respect them and take my hats off to them staying with it and staying to the point where they were still relevant enough to make the money that they probably deserve a long time ago. But if you want to fight, just fight. What do we need to do this whole hoopla? And I was kind of weirded out. Like, what's he doing with his hands? Does he not know if this is a video or a picture? You know what I mean? But, you know, at the end of the day, we all know that the Diaz brothers were not the biggest fan of cameras stuck in their face over and over again. And that's kind of how they built their reputation. They just say, all right, you want to put the camera on face? Well, I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to threaten to slap you. I'm going to flick you off. You know what I mean? And people loved it, but I don't think they're not like Colby where they planned these things and looked in the mirror and practiced.
Right. This is who they are.
It's just who they are.
This is who they really are.
So if he comes back to the sport, I think it'll be good to have another household name back in the sport competing. But if he doesn't, then he doesn't. I mean, he's done enough in his career, in my opinion, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Nick, you think Nick belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I think so. Because he was one of the original bad boys. There's some people in the Hall of Fame that, you know, had never won a world title, whether it's just a fight. There's so many different categories of it. But when you think about it, he came over from Strikeforce. He had a crazy reputation then. And I think you got to take some of that into account when you're thinking about, you know, an Hall of Fame inductee. They bought the organization. They bought, you know, the rights to all our fights. So I think the accolades got to come with them.
All right, now the part of the show where you get to punch someone in the face and pat somebody on the back. Tyron, who you got this week?
This is real. Something, you know, some weeks I battle and I don't know what, you know, who did something clutch and I don't know who messed up. I'm definitely going to punch Colby in the face. Can we punch him in the face, kick him, knee him, elbow him, knock him up, wake him up, submit him, knock him out again, and then sweep him off the mat with no handshake. Definitely the punches got to go to Colby Covington. I hate to even utilize his name because he doesn't even deserve to be on our show. But if I got to be really real, which you know is my middle name, he's getting the punch in the face.
And who gets the pat on the back?
Come on now. You see what's behind you on your left and right shoulder. And you see what's in this bag right here. We giving KFC and these fries that are finally here. We're going to give them a pat on the back and we're going to give these fries a sample.
Tell people what to do, Tyron.
If you guys are here and you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to TMZ Sports. If you're on Facebook, we love you. We appreciate you. But it makes it so much easier if you just subscribe. You get those alerts, turn the notifications on. So when we drop something or anything else on TMZ Sports, you in the know.
Yeah, man. Look, if you're out there, you're watching this, make sure to watch Tyron's fight September 19th at the Apex Center in Las Vegas. 2 years in the making. It's going to be worth it. Don't miss it. See you next time.